Hi guys, Joshua here with I Cut Grass. It's April the 5th, 2018. Hey, if you haven't subscribed to my page, I hope you would consider subscribing to it. And if you know anybody else in the industry, I hope that you would encourage them to do the same if they're new or if they're looking for different ways to run their business or maybe to reevaluate what they're doing. I got a message recently from someone asking me to share my rain protocol. So I'm going to do that. Keep in mind, I'm on the residential side of the industry, and what works for me, maybe you decided doesn't work for you. And maybe, you'll decide that, hey, this is something worth trying. The big thing here I'm hoping that you take from this is that it gets you to think more about your business, okay? All I want to do is help people. That's it. I want to see people succeed, and I still learn every day. I mean, trust me. And there are times I change up what I do just to see, how things might be affected. But back to the topic at hand today, rain delays. Here's what I do, guys. Let's say that under a normal week, if we had the same amount of daylight, there was no rain, there was no traffic delays, there was no equipment malfunctions or anything like that, I was able to mow sun up to sundown 6 days of the week. I always take Sundays off. That's for my family. I encourage you to do the same too if you can. But, let's say under those circumstances, I have the same amount of drive time from property 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to all of the lawns. And let's say I can mow 20 lawns a day and they're all the same setup, right? So everything is ideal, which will never happen. But let's say that's the case. Then I know mathematically I can mow under those circumstances X numbers of property or X number of properties through the week under perfect conditions. And if that was the case, let's say that figure came out to 100 lawns, there's no way that I'm going to take on 100 lawns because I got to have some flex in there, right? So I look at myself and I try to create a schedule that puts me at about 60% occupancy. So that gives me some room in the event that there are weather delays. That gives me some room in the event that I get a little bit behind because there are traffic issues, something goes down with my truck or my equipment or whatever. But it also gives me a little bit of room. If someone calls and has an emergency, I can be a hero to them and save them, or a realtor calls me. Okay, so what I try to do with my schedule is I look at all my lawns, and I basically, the furthest property out west is property number 1 every week. And then each property closer to my home garage is, we move in succession. So that way we want to drive the most straight line possible and have as little windshield time as possible from property to property, right? One of the biggest factors that affects profitability is the cost of gas. And we want to keep that minimal. We don't want to spend more money on gas than we need to because we want to hold on to the money. So what the schedule does is, let's say, with the way that the properties are set up, I'm able to get through the first 10 properties on Monday. Maybe the next day I get through 15 properties. Maybe the day after that I get through 16 or whatever. Okay, but I'm able to keep that schedule. All right, if I keep true, if I work, if I'm not jacking around, I'm not texting and all that other kind of baloney, talking to my buddies and everything, all that stuff. I'm out handling business. Okay, that works. Now, what I tell my customers when I set this up is say, okay, now you're typically on Mondays. I'm always going to mow on Monday unless there's a weather issue, unless there's an equipment issue. But if there's a rain issue, for example, then I will mow your lawn the next day as soon as I can that it's not raining. So if it's not raining on Tuesday, I'll mow it on Tuesday. But understand that the following week, your lawn always reverts back to the original day of the week that I service. Okay, so if it's normally Monday and I don't get it mowed till Wednesday, it's still being mowed the following Monday. Okay, I tell them the reason I do this is I have to run a schedule. If I didn't do it this way, I couldn't run a business. Now, when I explain that to my customers, and I do explain that, and I don't make them ask me about it, I tell them when I set up my service, then that issue is overcome from the start. Now, every once in a while, when we do a bunch of lawns, every once in a while, I'll send someone their invoice. And for those that I do invoice still, which is very few, and I would encourage you not to invoice customers monthly. Someone will send me back, well, Josh, did you really mow the grass on the 5th and then mowed it again on the 10th? Yeah, it rained. End of story. Now, if you want me to skip that mow, we can, but you got a double mowing, and it's 2 times. And I explained this when I set it up. Now, I'm not rude to them. I'm not a smart aleck, right? I'm respectful, but people will forget things. And it's just like if they cut it themselves, if they always cut the grass on Friday and this Friday it rains and they can't cut it on Friday. So maybe they're going to cut it on Thursday. Maybe they're going to cut it on Saturday. We're no different. They're just paying us to do the work. And that's the other thing. When it is raining, we'll still cut grass as long as there is not standing water in the lawn. Okay, and as long as when I step on that property, it's not like walking on a marshmallow. You know, you get to at least where I live, these sections of lawn where properties touch, where they connect. So you got Mr. Smith here, Mrs. Williams here, and there's no fence, or maybe there is, but I call it a swale, where the lawns meet. And in many cases, there's a water return, maybe not dug under the ground, but there's, a drain in the back or something. But you'll notice when you mow those areas, it has a tendency, especially after heavy rain, to be really soft. So I don't want to damage that. I would rather them get mad at me for not cutting the grass today than get mad at me by saying, hey, you damaged my property, all right? I'm always going to look out for the best interest of my customer and my business. If doing something is going to put my business at risk, I'm not going to do it. If doing something is going to tear up my customer's property, I'm not going to do it. Okay, yeah, I mean, get mad at me, yell at me, and they don't. Every once in a while, you'll have that one person who's very much control oriented. Okay, and I have one customer. I've mowed their lawn for 3 years. We've done their mulch for 4 years, and there might be a rain delay, and they start giving you they start sending the texts, and you can read the sarcasm in the text messages. Right, blow it off. I don't worry about it. But run that schedule. This is what works for me. Now, I had a buddy that sold me his business a couple years ago. So I added to mine. But what he would do is he wouldn't put it on a rotation like that. He would just say, okay, I've got 20 properties I have to mow this week. I'm going to get started on Monday. Maybe I'll get 10 done. Maybe I'll get 5 done. Someone will call and say, when are you going to mow my grass again? And he would say, I don't know, ma'am. I don't know when it's going to need it again. Now, here's the problem with that. He was selling himself very short. He wasn't making as much money as he could be making. But he was 60 years old. He didn't care about that. The only thing he worried about is can he write his monthly mortgage? And there are some people like that, and there's nothing wrong with that. Not everybody wants to work their life away. And it was hard on him working and that kind of stuff too. He's a nice guy, really nice guy. But that's how he ran his business. I don't do it like that, okay? I'm a numbers man. Right? I don't get to work in the winter unless it snows, okay? Because grass don't grow in the winter. So I'm out, I'm hustling, I'm trying to get everything that I can get done, not overloading myself with the schedule that I have, okay? And also in that schedule, building the time for me to maintain my equipment, to do my emails, to do my banking, because I go to the bank several times each week. So that's how I handle rain delays. And there may be times where we're out mowing and there's a storm coming. It's all the way out west where I would normally start. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the bottom of the property, which is closest east on that day. And I'm going to mow 3 or 4 lawns because by that time the storm will be where I'm at and I can stop what I'm doing and go back to the furthest west property because by then it's dried up a little bit. Okay, you can always manipulate the schedule like that. I do that sometimes on traffic. If I get done and it's 3:30, I know rush hour traffic's going to be around. I'm thinking, at 1 o'clock, what can I do to adjust this so I don't have any more windshield time? And the more you run your schedule, the more you'll become familiar with all that. Some of you guys that have been running the same schedule already know the tricks to the trade, so to speak. But I never put myself in a position where I have too much work. And I always communicate with my customers when I set up service how the service is going to run. And what I'll do is I'll put it in the form of an email. I don't do this handshake stuff because here's the thing. It's hard for me to prove what we discussed and it's hard for my customer to prove what we did not discuss, okay, based on what we said because humans are going to forget. I don't care if the guy is the brightest guy in the world. People are going to forget. You put it on paper. And if you don't have a contract that they signed, you send it in an email and you put everything there and then you carbon copy yourself on the email or in the email that you send to them, say, I need you to respond to me. Just let me know that you got this email and that you understand that this is how I do things. And then you save that, okay? And you don't save it because you're going to sue the guy and anticipate something bad happened, but you save that because if he calls you later in the season and says, Joshua, you didn't cut the grass today. I know it rained a little bit. You can go back and say, well, here's the email. And this is what we discussed. So if there is pooling water, we'll wait till the next day to mow the grass. And if it's not pooling water, we're going to mow. And oftentimes we'll be out in the trucks and it's going to rain for the next hour. Hey, pull over somewhere. You need gas in the truck? Put gas in the truck. You need to change the oil on the mower? Can you go somewhere where you can do that? Emails, take a nap. I mean, there's lots you can do. I'm not going to leave and go home at 10:30 in the morning because it's raining real hard when it's going to stop raining at 12, because I can still get those properties done. So yeah, it kind of sucks that I'm going to be hanging out, but I've always been able to find things to do to be productive with the time. Plus, you can do more sales if you're nowhere close to your maximum occupancy. So guys, again, this is how I do things. Maybe it doesn't work with you. Maybe you want to try it. Give me a favor. Please, if you haven't subscribed to my page, consider doing so. Again, I just want to help people. That's all I want to do. I don't have anybody writing me a check for this. It doesn't matter to me whether, it doesn't affect me, rather, if you're successful or if you fail. But if I can share information with you to get you to succeed, that makes me feel good as a person. Okay, and I want to do something to give back in some way. And I'm 41 years old. When I was 20, did I think that my calling in life was going to be a landscaper and a lawn care guy? No. But there are so many ways that we help people. Realtors call because they've got a home on the market. This guy's got to get his home sold. He needs to have pictures taken care of. Okay, or this person can't afford to pay the city to come and mow their grass because they haven't mowed it all year, and the city's going to fine them $300, and they want me to cut the grass. And maybe they're going to pay me more or less or whatever, but they need someone to get over there right now. Okay, there are all kinds of things that we can do to help people. People die. People go on vacation. People get hurt. Okay, people get sick. People develop allergies. Whatever the case may be, we can help people. So I hope that you're finding my videos helpful, and I'm hoping that in the future, as time presents itself, that I'm able to help you out in more ways. Thanks for taking the time to watch the video, guys. Have a great day.